When I was tasked with this assignment, I asked myself the same question that I do during any casual conversation. How can I make this about Monster Hunter?
No, I've been playing Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter? What are you doing that?
Monster Hunter is, well, a monster hunting action game series developed by Capcom, which saw its first release in 2004 for the PS2. It was a hit with Japanese audiences and retained a smaller cult following in the West until 2018 with the release of Monster Hunter World, which has since become Capcom's all-time best-selling game. But despite how it advertises itself, the series plays more like an MMORPG, just with different combat from what you might generally associate the genres with. After a while, it becomes a game all about expression, whether it's speedrunners showing off their skills, MAD, musical anime dolga creators filming goofy videos, or getting absolutely dripped out with your friends. No matter what you're doing, because there are so many weapon classes and hundreds of suits of monster armor to create and equip yourself with, I'd argue the freedom it offers makes it more closely related to Infinity Nikki than it does Dark Souls. Steam seems to agree with me. Capcom's games have only grown more and more queer over the years. Like many Japanese game studios, they recognized the gay marriage and transgender people long before the Japanese government did. Or, well, maybe they still have yet to. Monster Hunter Wilds, the most recent release in the series, may have forgotten to let you choose your pronouns like Street Fighter VI did, and it's not a game that involves any kind of dating, gay or otherwise, but it is the first game in the series to free us from the shackles of gender-locked armor, meaning we can finally live out our twink or butch hunting dreams, alongside the NPCs that seem to have gotten the same memo. In an interview with GamerBraves.com, series producer Ryoso Tsujimoto shared some details about adding the feature for anyone to wear masculine or feminine armor, saying, "We actually had to completely overhaul the modeling of the hunter itself. In the past, it was really hard to have both gender-type armors apply to the same hunter because of modeling and rendering. A lot of fans actually asked for these design changes, and now you have the resources to do so." How awesome is that? So, what does any of this have to do with drag kings and queens in New York?
It's like crossing into the Looking Glass in Wonderland. You go in there and you feel 100% right as being gay.
And that's not what it's like in the world.
It's not what it's like in the world. It's not what it's like in the world. You know, it should be like that in the world.
The society, they going to a football game, basketball, that's their entertainment. You know, a ball is ours. We prepare for a ball. We may spend more time preparing for a ball than anybody would spend preparing for anything else.
Exactly.
You know, a ball is like our world, you know.
Balls to us is as close to reality as we're gonna get to all of that fame and fortune and stardom and spotlights.
Role-playing games have always offered an escapist fantasy for gamers. It's often easier to use the screen to perform a new identity than it is in real life. Whether it's becoming a dragon slayer or just putting on a dress for the first time, whether the character you play represents yourself or simply a doll you want to dress up, that's how other people playing the game are going to perceive you. The same drag culture in New York City documented in Paris is Burning may not have lasted much longer than the 80s, but people are still doing queer shit all over the world, and we're more connected now than ever. So, continuing the tradition of documenting the lived experiences of queer folks, I've gathered a few friends that I met during my time in the Monster Hunter community to report on their explorations of identity and queerness in this game and our community. Anyway, thank you for joining me for my goofy-ass queer lit project.
No thing. It's my pleasure.
So can you tell me your name and what you are? Or what you'd
Yeah, of
identify
course.
yourself as?
name's Hendrik, I go by Shuigui online, and I'm a bisexual cis male in my early 20s.
Well, so I'm broskemp, and I kind of identify as like a bug queer, you'd say. As
Can you elaborate?
no bug looks like what I'm wearing right now, right? Like no bug looks like this.
You're right.
At least like what I'm like thinking about, it's like a bug, but like a beast,
A beast, but also a man, towing the line
Yeah.
between man and bug and beast. Can you tell me what your bisexual awakening was?
Gerudo. Oh man, that's a bit embarrassing, but yeah, Gerudo Link from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So, what was your bug queer awakening?
Well, I kind of like saw one on site. I'm like, damn, this, like, I really vibe with that. Like, I just saw one on the ground. It like looked at me with its like big old beady eyes, and I thought, that's me right there.
Back in like, must have been 2019, 2020, around that time.
What was it about that made you think, maybe I am bisexual? Anything in particular? Or just that cute twink?
I mean, yeah, that cute twink, and I think the outfit was, like, I was familiar with like the concept of men dressing femininely, of course, since I had been growing up on anime since I was like 11, 12, around that age, so I was familiar with the concept, but I had never really interacted with it much. Gerudo Link was different somehow for some reason.
So, how familiar are you with drag, like drag races and everything like that?
I've actually been to a few.
Oh, cool.
I know they exist. Like I've watched some stuff like Dungeons and Drag Queen on Dropout. I've watched clips of that. I mean, I should maybe preface with saying this that I am German, not from the US, and drag as a culture and art form here is a lot less common than I would say in the US. So I never really had much of an in to the entire culture of it.
The drag like performers are like really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really like the kind of like comedy that they like perform.
How familiar are you with like the origins of drag races and everything?
I have no idea about like the origins. I kind of just like the one I went to. I just kind of saw it. Like it was like on the way to where I was going. I'm like, hey, I have time. I'll go check it out.
Mm-hmm. From what I know and understand, the concept of drag races themselves began maybe like 50, 60 years ago, I believe, with mostly lower income people of color communities in the Americas wanting to emulate the culture of like high life celebrities and stuff. They want to enact out being rich and famous and everything, and that's what their way to do that was through drag shows. And it extended to being other genders. And now, here we are today in an RPG where you can be a bugman or an elf woman or something like that. What is your business here in Monster Hunter Wilds? Like, what are you doing here? What appeals to you about it over any other game you might be playing?
For getting to play with my friends, of course, and I would say with Wilds, especially over any past release, fashion has been a lot more of my end game compared to anything that came before in the series.
I mean, it's really just like, well, aside from like the combat, I'm like really into the combat. Really like finding huge monsters. Like that's kind of my vibe. But I guess the way you can express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
With the armor that I'm doing, and also like the weapon I play, the charge blade, which is I really like how complex it is in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It makes my brain tingle, and just allows me to like really, like I guess show what I'm thinking in a way.
Yeah, you like to show off your awesome charge blade skills.
Yes.
I was also so excited to learn that we can wear whatever the fuck that we want in this game finally after 20-something years.
Oh yeah, I was cheering and laughing and applauding when we got the news that was something that we were getting with the newest release. I was quite happy about that because the whole mix and match aspect of the normally gendered fashion actually allows you to make some good looking outfits, which was a bit of a struggle in previous Monster Hunter titles by comparison. Monster Hunter's gendered fashion was always very binary. If you were a female hunter, you would never get a full-faced helmet and you always had a fire window. If you were a male hunter, you would always look like a brick shithouse. So now we get to mix and match it. I love that a lot.
Can you tell me anything special about the character that you've created in Huntaz here in the game?
My character mostly stems from the lore and story I came up with for the characters I played in previous games. That aside, I did try to make him look as pretty as I could while still looking like a human being. Somewhere in the middle between that. Just so it's more fun to dress him up with fashion at the end game.
We do like to play dolls with our RPGs.
It is literally that, yeah. I am very glad that more and more RPGs are forthcoming with that, or rather appeal to that player crowd by giving us stuff like trans simmer stuff.
Well, I don't really have like a story behind them in a way. Though if you mean like kind of like the armor that I chose,
sure.
It's kind of going off of two things, I guess, surrounding in my life. So one way, it's like, well, one part of it is, well, I really like this one like type of bug called like the rhinoceros beetle.
Mm-hmm.
Like the huge like spikes and these like beetle like wings that I have here that kind of like reflect the beetle in a way. And the other is that I'm really into this one trope that Ishin shows where there's this like one guy who looks rough, but he's actually very pleasant to be around.
And you feel like that sort of represents how you feel about yourself in your normal life?
I think like the overall design like kind of reflects me, but not like as directly as I've said. Like I don't think I look unapproachable, but it more reflects like the aura of surprise I exude. Like, you know how it's like surprising that a rough looking guy is actually pleasant? You're rewarded for being brave enough to actually talk to someone like that. Like, I'm always followed by surprises myself in my life. Like, my sense of humor is a lot of like just being out of pocket. Or I have like this kind of like weird habit of pulling random shit out of my pockets.
Like you just keep random items on you?
Yeah, like, well, I really like wearing cargo pants, I think. So they have like a lot of pockets, and I have a lot of shit in them.
Do you have anything else you'd like to mention regarding your experience as a queer person playing RPGs?
I only really got into especially story-based RPGs in the 2020s, where queer experience were fortunately getting more and more represented on screen. So I never really got to experience the cultural shift there, but I am quite happy about the fact that more and more games allow me and other people as players to feel myself represented within the game's story and aesthetic aspects.
I'm really mostly interested in RPGs where you can actually wear different armor. Some like other RPGs you've seen, like you change the armor but nothing changes. Like that disappoints me so much. Like to the point where I almost like turn off the game immediately.
Mm-hmm. It is the hunter's urge to play dolls with their little RPG guys.
Yeah.
Alright, well, thank you for joining me and helping me out with my queer lit project.
Anytime.
And talking about how queer you are and how happy you are that Monster Hunter is gay as fuck now.
Two of my favorite topics to talk about, so it was my pleasure.